What's going on, guys? Welcome to the video. Before we get started with today's video, I did want to give you guys a quick update on how my training has been going the last couple months. This was supposed to be an AMRAP test video, so I wanted to go in the gym, test my maxes on the squat, bench press, and deadlift, and show off to you guys how much progress I've made on this program. Long story short, I'm not gonna be doing that in this video. I'm not gonna be doing that just yet. To put that in context, I'm gonna give you guys a quick recap of how my training has gone over the last couple months. So let's check it out. All right, so my current training program was 10 weeks total in length, split up into 3 training blocks. Block 1 was mostly focused on getting adapted to the increase in frequency. So there's a lot of emphasis on technique, volumes about moderate, and intensity low to moderate for this first block. In the second block, an emphasis on increasing effort, increasing intensity, primarily through the addition of top sets and higher RPEs. And then there's also a slight increase in volume. The rep counts are a little bit higher, and there are a few more sets in total in block 2. Now week 3 begins with a deload week. Intensity is lowered, volume is a little bit lower as well. Then finishes with an AMRAP week. So the AMRAP week is the max testing week where you do as many reps as possible with a specific load, usually around 90% of your 1 rep max. What happened to me was at the beginning of the deload week, I got sick. Problem was the weights that were meant to be really light actually felt really heavy. They felt heavier than the weights felt in block 2, which is not a good thing. So that didn't function as an effective deload for me. So I said, you know what? Nope, I'm not going through with these AMRAP tests. It's not a good time for me to do that. I'm gonna be responsible. And I think what I'm gonna do is either go back and start all the way over at block 1 again, or I might truncate this block a little bit and then run through block 2 again, which is a bit more of a peaking type phase, then do the deload and then do my AMRAPs. So the AMRAPs are coming within the next month or 2. I'm really excited to do it. Trust me, it's taking a lot of willpower for me to pull back and not show off, because I do think I've gained a lot of strength. But I think that this is just the more responsible thing to do. A friend of mine, Radu Antoniu, I think I'm saying his last name right. He's another YouTuber. I'm a huge fan of his channel. He has a theory that the reason people stop making progress is due to these little micro injuries and illnesses. Radu's basic theory is that you get an injury here, that's going to halt your progress for a while. Then here you start to recover, but you get sick again, so you catch a cold or something, that halts your progress for a while. Then you recover again, injured or sick again, halt your progress for a while. So if we could have just avoided these injuries or illnesses, which is not always preventable, then maybe we could have just made incremental progress better over time without having all these ups and downs. So anyway, that's a full recap on my training program. Long story short, it has gone great. It's been absolutely fantastic. I've loved it, but I think the responsible move is for me to kind of start over again and run through it again before doing my maxes. So with all that said, we're gonna go for a workout today. We're gonna start with bench press, and my friend Pat is back in town. So it's gonna be awesome to get a workout in with him. I wanted to make sure we got it here on camera. His bench has blown up. It's ridiculous. So I'm excited for you guys to see it, and I'll check in with you guys over at the gym. Let's go. Excited to get it in, man.
I know, bro.
So Pat's been back for what, a week?
Yeah.
Yes. So we did one workout, also a bench workout. Yeah. No, another one. I think the last time you were on the channel, we gave them an update on your Rhabdo situation. Yeah. So obviously you're pretty well recovered from that now, upper body, like completely recovered upper body.
Oh yeah.
Lower body is still, you got to be careful with, right?
Yeah.
I got you. I'll link that video down below if you want more background on that. All right, so we're gonna kick off the workout. Up first, we've got 3 sets of 3 reps, 85% of our 1 rep max. So I actually didn't calculate that yet. What's your 1 rep max right now, by the way?
405. I didn't really try.
Haven't you hit that for like?
Hit that for a double.
You hit it for a double. So your 1RM has got to be at least like 420 or something.
I'll calculate it right now.
Yeah. 416.
Yeah.
So let's use 415 as your max.
352.
350. Okay, so that's what we'll throw on for your 3x3. You good for that today?
Bro, that's light. Bro.
That's light?
Yeah.
Okay, well let's jack it up a bit then.
For 5.
Yeah. True. It's because I'm starting the program over, so the weights start lighter than where we hopped in on that workout late in the program, right? But we'll still ramp it up. We'll just go according to RPE, right? We can auto-regulate that. We're just gonna progressively pyramid our way up. So I'm just gonna fire a bunch of tips at you guys, and then Pat is gonna talk about some things he's done to get his bench all the way up to now 405 for 2, which is great.
Yeah.
So anyway, first tip is gonna be treat your warm-ups exactly like you would a working set. So try to make every rep on your warm-up look as if you had heavy working weight on the bar. So do your setup the same, your technique the same, really lock in those mind-muscle connection cues and those strength cues that you use for your working sets on your warm-up sets. That said, we're gonna do a few warm-ups. Let's get into it.
Coming in, yeah, flex, I just wanna win, yeah, LABB who we running with, yeah, 2, 2, 3, 3, I'm on 10 again, yeah.
So the gym we're training at here, just for the record, they only have 35-pound plates on the upstairs floor. So these are not 45s, these are 35s. So it might look a little misleading, but Pat is gonna work up to, I think about a 365 today. This is 325 right here. Probably one of his last warm-ups. 1, 2, 3. Good. All right, tip number 2, take advantage of training gear. Now, full disclosure, I am sponsored by Rise, but they do make great affordable training gear. The brand you pick doesn't have to be Rise. Just wanted to say that out the gate. Starting from the bottom up, I find using a heeled shoe helps for 2 reasons. 1, it allows me to get my heels planted better, which is a requirement if you're gonna be competitive in powerlifting. And it also just helps me feel more stable on the floor, contributing to better leg drive. So something like this is not gonna add 30 pounds to your bench, but when combined with the other stuff could make a difference. A belt. So a lot of people, this is like the most commonly asked thing I get about my bench, other than the arch, is why do you wear a belt? So this is a small thing, doesn't seem to have much of an effect for everyone, but I think it's worth experimenting with, especially if you have a belt. And it's really similar to the squat and the deadlift. So when I put on the belt, it increases intra-abdominal pressure. So when I do the Valsalva maneuver and hold my breath before I descend, it's gonna create a more rigid compartment in here, increase the pressure, and then prevent energy loss throughout the whole system. So it's just gonna make more of a rigid column through the whole body. And I find the belt gives me something that I can kind of push my air against, and I find I'm a bit stronger when I wear the belt than if I don't wear one. So I wear it. And then the third thing would be wrist wraps. So these help because they help keep the wrist more neutral. When you bench, a lot of people have a tendency to let the bar fall back almost in their upper hand rather than sitting right above the wrist joint. The problem when you have the bar sitting back here is it creates a space between the joint and the application of the load, and that creates an energy leak. So basically your forearm has to work to some extent to prevent the bar from just your hand from falling off. And so if you keep the bar directly over the joint, your forearms don't have to do that same work. So there's no moment arm between the axis of rotation and the application of load. What these do is they just help make it a little bit easier to keep that wrist straight. Again, not gonna add 30 pounds to your bench, but when combined with the other stuff can make a difference. And then the final thing, if you're not using chalk, that can make an enormous difference because especially if you're gonna take my advice and take a slightly wider grip, most people are stronger with a wider grip, you might notice on bars that aren't quite as gritty, there's this tendency to have your hands slip out as the set goes on. That's not safe and not an efficient way to bench. So if you use chalk, you're gonna have a much more stable grip on the bar. And I've made a mess. So that's tip number 2. Tip number 2A, 5 Alive. Still got some left over from the grocery haul. It's an inside joke if you didn't get it.
Money clip, I tossed it. I heard it's big bags on big bags on big bags coming. Coming in. Yeah.
So that was just like, I'm gonna look sus. You just explained all that gear, and all I've got is like Ultra Boost, my stringer.
No, I just moved, so I don't have my stuff with me right now.
I'm gonna loan him my gear and see how it works, but the size difference might not work out. Some of the best powerlifters in the world, like Russ comes to mind. He does use training gear, but like he squats in Jordans and does like unconventional stuff. So I like to take a shotgun approach to these cues. So it's like I'll throw a bunch of different stuff at you, and some of it'll stick, some of it'll work for you, some of it'll be worse for you, some of it'll be neutral. The key is to just take it all, experiment with it, and pick out the handful of things that work better for you. So tip number 3 is to find the appropriate amount of elbow tuck. So I'm gonna demonstrate this. This is the way most people, most bodybuilders bench. So they'll, this is perfect, thanks Pat. So they'll take a wide grip and they'll bench with very flared elbows down to their upper chest, almost like a guillotine press. I don't think that's the most optimal way to bench for strength. I think it's fine for hypertrophy. Some people get cranky shoulders when they do it that way. A lot of powerlifters you'll hear will do an extreme elbow tuck, so they'll bring the bar way out in front of them, touch it to their stomach, and have their elbows out in front of the bar. I don't think that's the most optimal way to bench unless you're wearing a bench shirt, which no one does in the gym. I think the best way to bench is to have a moderate tuck, so tuck the elbows slightly on the negative, bring the bar to the highest contact point on your chest. That's usually going to be the bottom of the sternum, down here, so not down on your stomach, but not up on your upper chest, right here. And then when you press, you're going to think about flaring and pushing. So rather than staying tucked and keeping your elbows out in front of the bar, you're going to think about flaring as you push the weight up. So tuck down on the negative and then flare as you press the weight up. Ever since Pat's been in his off season, he's been making amazing progress. So I'm gonna let him take over, say a couple things that he's found really help him and kind of accelerate his bench press. So
something that really helped me personally is that I made sure that my setup and the bar path was consistent. I did this because I wanted to ensure that I was actually progressing each week instead of kind of cheating the bar up, and then making sure that I hit the correct RPE, because if you train too hard and you can't recover, then the following weeks you won't be able to continue to progress. So making sure you hit the RPE, leave the ego at the door to leave that room for progression moving forward.
One other thing I was going to say was, like, for you, I feel like maybe being in a surplus, like you were eating so many calories, like you were telling me, and I feel like that can make a big difference too. Like, yeah, you might gain a bit of extra fat, but your bench exploded. And I find bench, it might go in both directions. Like for me, in my coaching experience, bench press is one of the first lifts to take a hit when you start cutting down.
Definitely.
So then when you bulk back up, I mean, in your case, it's been the one you've made the most progress on of all. But I really like the idea of like leaving your ego at the door, like, and auto-regulating. If you're not feeling as strong one day, don't try to push it and get injured. Longevity is the key. Yeah, that's really good, man. All right, guys, Pat and I are going to finish out this workout. He's got his last set on the bench press here now. Sean's going to finish it out with an edit, so you guys can stay tuned for that. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'll have Pat's channel linked down below. Make sure you check it out, and I'll see you guys all here in the next one.
Like, ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Coming down like precipitation, I ain't never met a limitation. Hate plotting my elimination, gotta go to Google for the information. I'm a superstar, so I gotta shine. Top dollar be the bottom line. Bottom feeding niggas out of line, turn your heart rate to a... Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right?